You step off a water bus in Venice, walk toward the historic center, and a gate stops you. Not a crowd. Not a queue. A gate, with a scanner. You tap to pay a few euros just to enter the city. No hotel booking, no tour group, no reason given beyond the fact that you showed up. That moment is now real. And it is spreading. Within the past 2 years, some of the world's most visited destinations have quietly introduced entry controls that most travelers never read about until they are standing right in front of them. This video explains the hidden logic behind that shift, what changed, why it is accelerating, and what it means for anyone planning a trip. Here is the first thing most people get wrong. These are not taxes. They are not fines. Cities are not trying to stop tourism. They are trying to reshape it, and the tools they are choosing are surprisingly similar across very different cultures. Venice was among the first major European cities to test a day-tripper entry fee for its historic center. Reports from travel advisories and Italian tourism coverage suggest the fee is applied on peak days, targeting visitors who arrive without a hotel booking, meaning they consume the streets, the canals, the infrastructure, and then leave without contributing much to the local economy. The logic is not we do not want you. The logic is we want you to stay longer, spend more intentionally, and not arrive on the same Saturday as 40,000 other people. Amsterdam took a different angle. Instead of a gate, the city began restricting where certain types of tourism could advertise and operate. Short-stay rental limits tightened. Hotel construction in the historic center slowed. The city's approach is less about charging entry and more about quietly redesigning the experience so that mass volume, low-spend tourism becomes structurally harder to sustain. Travel reports suggest Amsterdam is now actively discouraging a specific type of visitor, the weekend party tourist, without saying so directly in any official statement. Bali presents a third model. Indonesia introduced a tourism levy for international visitors arriving on the island, with funds directed toward cultural preservation and environmental programs. What makes Bali's version interesting is the framing. Officials there were careful to describe the levy not as a barrier but as a contribution, something that connects the visitor to the place rather than simply extracting money at the door. Whether that framing holds in practice is still being watched by tourism researchers, but the structure itself is gaining attention from other island destinations facing similar pressure. Barcelona is perhaps the most openly conflicted example. The city has seen large public protests from residents who feel that tourism has made daily life unaffordable and overcrowded. Local government there has capped new tourist apartment licenses and is exploring additional measures. What is striking about Barcelona is that the tension is not between the city and tourists, it is between the city's economic dependence on tourism and its residents' quality of life. That tension is not unique to Barcelona. It is the same tension playing out in Kyoto, in Dubrovnik, in Santorini, and in a growing list of destinations where the infrastructure was simply not built for the volume it is now receiving. So why is this all happening now, at the same time, in such different places? 3 things converged. First, post-pandemic travel rebounded faster and more intensely than most cities planned for. Second, short-term rental platforms expanded the footprint of tourism into residential neighborhoods that previously had no tourism infrastructure. Third, the data cities now have about visitor behavior, where people go, how long they stay, how much they spend, made it possible to design targeted interventions rather than blunt restrictions. The result is a quiet but significant restructuring of how the world's most visited places manage access. It is not a wall. It is more like a filter, one that is being tuned differently in every city, but is being built almost everywhere at once. For travelers, the practical implication is straightforward. Checking entry requirements is no longer just about visas and vaccinations. Some destinations now require advance registration, timed entry windows, or proof of accommodation before you can access certain areas. Travel advisories are beginning to include these details, but they are not always prominently placed. For the cities themselves, the experiment is still early. Whether entry controls actually reduce pressure on infrastructure, whether they shift visitor behavior in the intended direction, or whether they simply redirect crowds to nearby unprotected areas, those questions are still open. What is clear is that the era of unconditional open access to the world's most iconic places is quietly ending. Not with a dramatic announcement. Just a gate, a scanner, and a small fee you did not expect. If you want to know which city is moving fastest toward a full digital entry system, one that tracks where you go after you pay, that story is already developing, and it connects directly to how sleep pods and capsule hotels are quietly replacing traditional accommodation in some of the same destinations. That one is worth watching.